With the release of World War Z, we can now ask ourselves the question, is this the spiritual successor to the most excellent Zombie Army Trilogy? Now, the obvious comparison with World War Z is the likes of Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, but if you're a Zombie Army Trilogy fan, I think you may well find that World War Z definitely scratches that linear zombie slaying itch. Now, the reason for this is that if you're familiar with Zombie Army Trilogy, you'll know that Zombie Army Trilogy, the campaign anyway, is fairly linear. So you go from A to B to C to D, and intertwined with sort of this corridor-based shooter mechanic, you then have horde mode sections where you have to defend an area. And World War Z is very, very similar to that, adding a little bit more complexity as well. So basically you go from A to B to C in this corridor-based shooter, and then you'll have sections like this, which is, you know, it's a horde mode. Obviously the hordes in World War Z are considerably bigger than they are in Zombie Army Trilogy, but the zombies are also easier to kill in World War Z, and so that gameplay mechanic is very similar. And I think, you know, if you enjoy Zombie Army Trilogy, you'll definitely enjoy World War Z. Now, World War Z doesn't have as much sniping as Zombie Army Trilogy, but there are snipers in it. There are weapons with plenty of scope, so you can get that ADS look as well if you want. The majority of the weapons in World War Z are fully automatic. You know, it's all about putting thousands of rounds down range and damaging as many zombies as you can. You've also got some gadgets that you can deploy, things like auto turrets, barbed wire, so that's all a bit different. And I always kind of felt that the idea with the campaign in Zombie Army Trilogy is to play it through, and then play it through on a harder level, you know, and you're improving your sniping skills. Whereas in World War Z, you have this an even more focus on replaying levels, and the idea is that you level up your characters, because there's a lot more depth in World War Z when it comes to leveling up, not really characters, but leveling up the classes and leveling up the weapons themselves. So there's several different classes you can play through the game. As you know, there's like an assault guy, a support guy, that sort of stuff. And as you play, you get better and more powerful perks for them. And similarly with the guns as well, when you start playing the game and you're using the basic assault rifle, and then as you play with that gun, you then get a better version with bigger mags, it's more powerful, it's got better scope, that sort of stuff. That probably reflects that World War Z is a newer game than Zombie Army Trilogy. Graphically wise, I think Zombie Army Trilogy still holds up very, very well, and the detail in the zombies is better than World War Z, although in World War Z the environments look pretty damn good as well. I would say that World War Z very much reminds me of it's kind of a cross between The Division and State of Decay 2. It kind of has that look of both of those games. Not quite as much detail as The Division, but more than State of Decay 2. Where obviously with Zombie Army Trilogy, we've got a game that is, on the PlayStation anyway, it's a port from an older game which they've kind of they've rezzed it up, if you like. And in fact, with Zombie Army Trilogy, it's the third part of the trilogy that looks the best, but arguably I think maybe it's the first two parts of the trilogy that play the best. But anyway, by the by, if we were comparing the two, I would say these are perfect companions to one another rather than rivals. And if you've enjoyed Zombie Army Trilogy, definitely have a look at World War Z. If you're enjoying World War Z, then definitely look at picking up Zombie Army Trilogy, because I'm sure you'll enjoy that as well. As far as online capability goes, both games can be played either offline or online with friends. Obviously there's a lot more people around playing World War Z, so it's easier to get match made that way, but generally with Zombie Army Trilogy you're probably matchmaking with friends and playing it that way indeed. In World War Z, the offline mode, when you're playing by yourself, you are accompanied by 3 AI teammates, which do help a bit. I mean, if you get jumped on by a zombie, they'll pick you up, and they'll revive you as well, which is great. But where it really comes into its own, as with Zombie Army Trilogy, is when you're playing online with other human players. But anyway, that's enough chatting away from me. You've had a chance to see plenty of gameplay from both games, and I'd say, you know, if you enjoy one, you'll definitely enjoy the other. That's enough from me. Put your questions and comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the subscribe. Thank you very much, and I will see you again soon.